it is time to kick off 2026 with our January indie releases. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is our January indie release within the SFF/horror sphere to kickstart off our year. Now, as always, these lists do not come from me, they come from Rob J. Hayes and AJ Calvin over on their respective blogs, which I'll have linked down below. We do start off with a shorter list just to ease us into the year that is going to be 2026, hopefully another exciting year for indie releases. If you have books coming out throughout the remainder of the year, make sure you are checking out these blogs. There is links on both of them as to how to submit your books, and then I will give it a video platform on the month that it comes out. So we're going to jump straight into it, which means I am going to need you to see the ring light in these glasses, but I also need to read blurbs. So we're going to kickstart off with January 3rd, and this is going to start us off with Primal Silence by Stephen Jack. This is the Armageddon's Child trilogy, book number 2 in the speculative science fiction realm. The first sentence here says there are no winners or losers, only survivors, and that sounds rather ominous. Then on the 6th of January, we have Murder in the Temple. This is the Saw Chronicles book number 1 by Mallory. It says, welcome to Saw, where your level, your class, and your god decide how you live and how you die. Unless you're Jana Low, then you're all kinds of screwed. I should mention this is lit RPG. When a high priestess turns up dead in her own temple, the city does what it always does, shrugs and keeps moving. Corruption's just part of the landscape, and dead holy women aren't rare enough to make the betting books. But this particular corpse has Jana's name written all over it, and for once, that might not be a bad thing. Once he had a class, a patron god, and a future. Now, he's broke, suspended, and worst of all, fresh out of divine favor, just a low-level private investigator with limited skills and a very punchable face. To crack the case, Jana has to find a way to level up without a god's blessing, dodge the wrong kind of attention, and wade through a city where faith is currency and murder's just part of the market. And if he lives long enough to find the killer, maybe, just maybe, he'll be allowed to get his job back. He's classless, broke, out of luck, but murder in Saw? That's his kind of trouble. That sounds like a bit of fun. On January 11th, so we're jumping a few days here, we have Death's Realm. This is by Nicole Dragonbeck, and this is Guardians of the Path, book number 7. It is epic fantasy, sword and sorcery, and YA. To restore the light, she must embrace the dark. One wrong choice could cause the very end she was meant to prevent. And now, being a book 7, we will need to move on a little bit from there, but I do like the green on the cover that we're seeing. On January 13th, we have Hunter. This is Quests Unbound, book number 1 by Marie Andreas. Raylan led a simple life, wealth redistribution. As someone who grew up in the orphan workhouse, she knew money was always in short supply. The extremely wealthy didn't always need it. While on a simple retrieval job for the woman she worked for, Raylan finds unwelcome attention, the type that could end her career and life. Falling in with the handsome man who tried to rob her after she'd just robbed a nobleman wasn't on her list of goals. But the pouch she stole wasn't what she'd been told, and the woman who hired her paid the ultimate price. With death and mayhem falling around her, she had no choice but to grab her beloved horse, Moose, and join the would-be thief and his companions on a dangerous quest. One that would mean the end of the world as she knows it if they fail. And the quest isn't playing fair. That sounds quite interesting. Then we have my cover pick of the month on January 15. This is the Unnamed, the Book of Names, book 1 by M.S. Masrud. And this is epic fantasy, sword and sorcery, and romance. And this is beautiful. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, was raised for one purpose, to inherit the Vorian throne, a crown that demands she protect her fractured, volatile kingdom from those within its walls who seek to ruin it, the Unnamed. A destiny few believe she can fulfill, least of all Rame herself. With her beloved father's health rapidly declining and the threat of insurrection looming, she makes a desperate deal, sealed in magic and blood, with an enigmatic, unnamed man known only as the Healer. But when he finally comes to collect his due, the price he demands not only has the power to destroy her, but everything she thought she knew about honor, justice, and love. On January 17th, we have Caldera's Edge. This is Distorted Perceptions, book number 1 by Dan Krawchuk, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, and this is sci fantasy. The year is 2331. The Earth has become uninhabitable, and what is left of humanity is split into small colonies on Mars and the Moon. Stranded with failing technology, the two sects of humanity struggle to both survive and stay in contact with each other. Maria Earle is an emergency systems technologist from the Helios Planitia colony on Mars. Having made one too many mistakes, she is on the verge of being suspended from her role when she's inexplicably assigned to investigate the failure of a crucial piece of technology. Now Maria must make the dangerous journey from her colony to the summit of Olympus Mons, the highest mountain in the solar system, to complete her mission, but something doesn't add up. Why was she assigned to such an important job? And what are the strange, swirling visions that keep intruding on her perception? Mars is only the beginning, and the more Maria finds out about her world, the stranger things get. On the 20th of January, we do have a couple of entries, starting off with Errant Mage. This is Legacy of the Lost Mage, book number 5 by T.J. Muir. This is epic fantasy, sword and sorcery, and cozy fantasy, and I really like this cover as well. So it is a book 5. I think we're doing something Portal-y, but there's a book. That's the book. There's a Door of Skulls on the book, which is quite intriguing, but it is a book 5, so we'll need to move on. We also have There Be Dragons Here, The Tales of Adira by S.L. Rowland. This is cozy fantasy, and this is a beautiful cover as well. I really love the pops of color that we have on this one. At 182 years old, Hilda Rockfall thought her adventuring days were long behind her. For over 70 years, she roamed the realm as a ranger with the adventuring party Stone and Splendor, taking quests, slaying beasts, and collecting monster teeth like trophies from the boundless sea to the edge of the wilds. But for the past 8 decades, she's traded her sword for slippers, living the quiet life of a proud grandmother nestled in the mountains, telling tales no one quite believes, and baking a mean honey crumble. That peace is shattered when an old friend and former party member passes on and leaves Hilda one final quest: scatter his ashes at a secret location marked on a map they looted back in their glory days. Hilda figures it'll be a nice little hike, maybe a nostalgic trip down memory lane. But then she opens up the map, and scrawled across the bottom in faded ink are 4 unsettling words: There be dragons here. That sounds like a bit of fun. Also on the 20th of January, we have Strange Awakening by Dorothy Quick, and this looks like it is science fiction and romance. It's like a very classic, old style cover on the front, and I kind of dig it. This is a reprint release of a 1938, there you go, that's where the cover was from, novel by From Beyond Press. So a re-release of a 1938 novel from Beyond Press. We got there. She remembered reading a book by someone named Burroughs about a man who had been transported to Mars. Now she had reached Venus by some strange agency. Perhaps someday a book would be written about her. Dorothy Quick, one of the most prolific women writers in pulp science fiction and horror magazines, including Weird Tales, also wrote a planetary romance novel in 1938, with emphasis on romance. Strange Awakening is a tale of Iva, a girl from Long Island who finds herself transported to Venus by the Great Mind, the planet's despotic and sexually frustrated ruler. Coming to her rescue is Oda, the leader of Venus's Blue People, who risks his kingdom and his immortality to overthrow the Great Mind so that he can marry the Earth Girl. A blend of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and John Carter of Mars, but with more kissing. Strange Awakening is a fascinating and forgotten work by one of Pulp Premier's women writers. It does sound strange and fascinating at the same time. Who knows? If anyone's read the original, let me know. On the 26th of January, we have the Crane Maiden. This is the Ember Lily Arc number 1 by M.H. Woodscourt. War has reached her doorstep. She will answer with a sword. When her little sister dies during an enemy raid, Genii prays to Holy Aphalon, seeking protection for her village. What she doesn't expect is to hear a voice telling her that she must personally lead the armies of Freylin against the growing threat. Joined by a gentle unicorn and a few brave allies, Genii sets out to liberate Freylin, even at the risk of her own freedom. However, the road to war isn't straightforward. Genii must first gain the trust of the Crane Prince and by convincing him she's not a fraud. Will the Church of Athalan accept her calling, or will they condemn her as a heretic? Interesting. I've quite liked some of M.H. Woodscourt's books in the past. She generally gears towards YA. This one says it is epic fantasy and YA as well. Also, on the 26th of January, we have The Bad Apothecary. This is Ninth Path, book number 1 by Keon Shores, and I apologize if I mispronounce that name. Dewu stumbles into the capital half-dead, wounded by something no healer can cure. Nestled in her flesh is a strange pathogen carrying corruption, the antithesis of the natural order. Desperate, she trades freedom for survival and falls into the grip of the hierarchy, a ruthless organization that keeps power in check by any means necessary, their treatment in exchange for loyalty, service, and obedience. Her first assignment entangles her with Nex Teres, a battle-hardened cultivator with no interest in playing agent. But the hierarchy doesn't ask, it coerces. Bound by duty and circumstance, they're sent to a lawless outpost where Dewu was first infected, and where the name of a long-dead legend has the bad apothecary. Interesting. Sounds quite fun. Then on the 27th of January, we have Snowmane by Iseult Murphy, and this is an epic fantasy novella by the looks of things. The sea around a sun-drenched island suddenly freezes. A groom returns for his wedding with his hair turned as white as snow. Nisi has never known cold or snow in her idyllic island home, yet her groom, Hoddle, brings ice as bright as his new whitened hair when he returns to the island with a wedding gift. Nothing will stop Nisi from going ahead with the wedding, not the cold, Hoddle's changed appearance, nor the odd behaviour or the rest of his party. On her wedding night, Nisi wakes to find Hoddle gone, her village cloaked in a freezing snow, and 2 enormous creatures, a white wolf and a white owl, who want her help. As the cold seeps into Nisi's family and friends, the wolf and the owl give her one option: help them stop Hoddle or lose her home and everything she loves to permanent snow and ice. But Nisi doesn't know if she can trust the wolf and the owl. There must be another way to save her husband. On the 29th of January, we have Lianna and the Hombit by Valinora Troy, and this is epic fantasy. A grieving girl in need of a friend, a magical creature with a secret task. Can they end the ancient curse threatening their new home? 13-old Lianna has lost everything: her home, her friends, and most devastatingly, her beloved Papa. Sent to live with her uncle, Lianna is certain he will be cruel and unkind, for why else would Papa have run away when he was young? Robbed on arrival of her precious keepsakes, Lianna receives a worse than expected welcome from her uncle. His servants are hostile, and even her grandparents seem to glare at her from their portraits over the fire. When a magical creature resembles a small glass bird bursts into her life in a mix of spark and fire, Lianna is eager to assist the Hombit with its secret mission if it helps her return home, which leads to Lianna undertaking a risky dive near perilous sea stacks known as living rocks. When her dive goes wrong, she awakens a creature that seeks to rob her of her humanity. To survive, Lianna must uncover the dark secrets of her father's past. Now she faces a stark decision. Does she save herself, or the town that rejects both her and her father? A heartwarming story of the healing power of friendship when all seems lost. That sounds delightful. And to finish us off this month of January, we have Tome of Tomes. This is Shadowbinders book 1.5 by Andrew Watson, and this is a novella for the series. We've got a very dark cover here. Quite intrigued by that glowy orb in the background of what the person here is holding. This is a dark fantasy novella. History is told by the survivors, but survivors do not see the worst the world has to offer. The lost library of Nenilan, I think, was thought to be nothing more than a myth. It was said to hold the secrets of Teresian history and the long sought-after cause of the cataclysm that splintered the country. So when whispers of its discovery reach the ears of scholars, a race to uncover the truth begins. But Yeri must face more than ambitious scholars. Buried beneath the desert sand, the ancient library holds more than just books, and perhaps some discoveries are better left unfound. That sounds like fun. I need to get to the first book in this series. And that was it for our indie releases coming in January 2026. So it was a nice little list to ease us into the new year. What are you looking forward to? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like the content, give one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.